Well, less than half a day. That's a little bit of New Order Blue Sunday on this Tuesday afternoon, 4:42 in the afternoon. Welcome to the studio, my good friend and yours. We're known to many of us as Ginger Cruz. I'd like to welcome you to the studio to discuss your recently announced candidacy coming back home to try to gain a seat in the U.S. Congress. Welcome back home, Ginger.
Thank you, Jay. I'll tell you, the craziest thing about this is, coming back and seeing all of the folks that I grew up with who are now in so many incredible parts of the government, the private sector, the courts, right? Johnny Rapadas, who threw my cart from St. Anthony off the second floor to see if it would still work. He's now a psychologist.
Psychologist.
That's kind of perfect, right?
And he determines whether they're competent or not.
Exactly, and Ann Hattori, who was always, the smart one in the class, to see all that she's done at the University of Guam, and to see you. I mean, you are just blazing trails in the legal profession, which, of course, we always knew you'd do that. Even back then, the Sisters of Mercy we were laughing. We were at Academy for Dr. Laura Sauder's book signing over the weekend. And, I saw all of my old principals and teachers. Sister Angela, when I first came back in 2019, I went to visit Academy, and she was saying, I remember Ginger sat in this chair. She was telling my husband, she sat in this chair in my classroom, and she used to hide another book inside her math book. How did she remember that? I mean, she must have had thousands of students. So I'll tell you, there's nothing like coming home,
of course,
and being around, everybody that you love, and you miss everybody when you're out there. You're in the big world. You're in the federal government. You're applying the stuff that you learned in Guam, but you're not home. You just, it takes that going through all of those experiences, but being home is really incredible. And one thing that was really full circle. So my daughter now is here, and she lives in Barragata, and I have a 3-year-old grandson named Elias, and he goes to Mercy Heights. And so I go there sometimes. We pick him up and we, steal him for the afternoon. And one of the teachers that is teaching him was taught by my mom at Finnegadgen Elementary School.
Nice.
So, I mean, that whole full circle and being back home has been really wonderful for me. And is really, I'm very grateful.
I remember those days. Tell us about who you are, who your family is. Who's your mom and dad?
So my mom, Maria Francisco Crendon, she got her master's at Columbia University. So when she came out to Guam, she was Filipina. She was naturalized here on Guam, and she taught at Finnegadgen Elementary School. And
What did she teach?
She taught kindergarten through 3rd grade, and then she taught music to 7th graders. And just absolutely loved what she was doing. I mean, she was in the trenches at DOE, and she believed in public school. She put me into Harmon Loop Elementary School. One of the things I tell people who are thinking of coming out to Guam, there's some companies that we work with, and they're like, oh, we're going to send families out to Guam. Are the schools good? What is it like? And I always tell them, the cost of living is too darn high, which is something we need to fix. But I always said, the school systems, the public schools, the private schools, they're great. I'm a product of the school systems in Guam, both public and private school. And I was able to do incredible things throughout my career and then bring that all here back home. So, Guam has so much. And sometimes it takes going away for a little while to learn more and to do things, and then to come back home to really appreciate some of the special things that we have on Guam. And that part, I think, has been really incredible. But by the same token, there's a lot of things that need more help.
My mom, of course, was a teacher as well. I'm sure
Yes,
you remember her. You might even have had her back in those days at Academy. But our dads are also very much a part of our lives. Tell us about your dad. I remember him very, very well, for the tall Mr. Crendon.
Yes, Mr. Crendon.
Who would drop you off?
He would
and take care of you.
I was an only child, so my parents were a little bit protective about me. But Daddy was incredibly creative, and when he first got to Guam. 1969, when we first moved here, I was just a baby. And
from where? Where's your dad from?
So my dad is from New York.
Okay.
And, we had moved around a bit. And when we were in California, he had an opportunity to work in Guam. They gave him a 1-year contract. And I think there are so many people on Guam who know this story. He arrived on Guam, he fell in love, and we never left. Now, for my parents, they came from different places, but the only thing I've ever known is Guam, right? I mean, a lot of people, will say, are you really, how much is Guam in your fiber? And I mean, I say Guela Zenguela when I go into the forest because I do not want to walk out with a black and blue. I'm superstitious about that. You know what I mean? And my favorite memories are night spearfishing. My godfather, Ray Chapasnia, taught me how in Umatic we would go out there at night, and he taught me, 12, 15 feet of water when the moon wasn't out, and you'd have your flashlight, and we'd use a Hawaiian sling, and we used to, go fishing. And, just so many people that, have contributed to who I am today and the things that I do. And, when you take those experiences and you go and you want to learn more, I went back to get my master's degree and go work in the federal government after the Carl Gutierrez administration, still the one. But, I went over to the States. But whenever I was in the States doing those jobs, I would be sitting there briefing Senator Jim Webb. And he would say, well, where are you from? And I would always say, I'm from Guam. And it would turn into this great 20-minute conversation about Guam. So I've always been the girl from Guam, and so that was why, coming home to be able to do things here was something that has always been in the plan. And when I was finally able to open my own company, which is a defense consulting company, and come out to Guam and to do some work, and then last year to teach at the University of Guam was literally one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah, what did you end up teaching?
So Dr. Ken Cooper called me up and was like, he was teaching the U.S. foreign policy class, and he wanted to expand, do some more research. So he's like, would you be interested? And I had asked Dr. Anita Enriquez and a lot of folks there, Jesse Leon Guerrero, I let them know I was really interested in getting into teaching. And so I had the opportunity last year to teach U.S. foreign policy, and it was incredible. The students, from the beginning of the class where we were just sort of fire hosing them with all this information, and then by the end of the class when we were doing war game simulations with these juniors and seniors, and to see their knowledge and their understanding. And that was really kind of what triggered my first, the first real thought about wanting to run for Congress. Because
and why is that?
As you're talking to these kids and you're trying to prepare them and say, here's all the problems and here's things you need to think about and here's some potential solutions for the cost of living, for the fact that our political status needs to be resolved in order for us to have more of a say in our future, for us to be able to bring down airfares and finally solve problems that were around when I was working for the Gutierrez administration. And as I was teaching them this, and I was looking at them thinking, am I going to sit here and wait 10 years for them to, get out of college and get jobs and then finally be able to do this? Or do I want to put my name out and say, I still have the energy. I still have one really strong push in my career left. Let me at least see if the people of Guam want to hear what I have to say. It's going to be really different, really interesting. But I have a lot of ideas for how to completely reshape Guam's relationship in Washington.
Great. And we'll talk about that when we come back.
And that is The Bright Side. And The Bright Side is brought to you by Vitali's Italian Restaurant. No plans for dinner tonight? Then take the family to Vitali's Italian Restaurant. Enjoy the linguine clam, the tour of Italy, or the king sub sandwich at Vitali's Italian Restaurant. Open daily for lunch and dinner. For reservations, call 671-646-7692 and enjoy a taste of Italy. Now we move on to Real Deal Traffic by Guam Autospot. If you guys are located in the very bottom area of Guam, we're talking about Umatic, between the Seti Bay Overlook and Mount Lam Lam Trailhead, there seems to be a congestion going on over there. So any of you motors going to that location, do please keep in mind on that one. And that is today's Real Deal Traffic, brought to you by Guam Autospot. Schedule a test drive today at Guam Autospot by calling 478-AUTO or view our inventory on our website at guamautospot.com. Guam Autospot, 478-AUTO.
Guam, it's the March Markdown Sale at Guam Autospot. We're cutting prices on our used cars and they're still in great condition. Cruise around in a brand new sleek Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for as low as $169 per paycheck, or take on any adventure in our rugged trucks. Get pre-approved online at GuamAutospot.com or schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO. Don't miss out. Visit Guam Autospot today.
Using that brain power. Wave 105 FM.
Buenas and welcome back. Here with Ginger Cruz, running for delegate and talking about her plans and her life story, I guess, for, coming from Guam. She is, of course, my classmates in St. Anthony and class of '82. Big shout out. We're really proud of our class. I think you mentioned a few of us who've come back and got our advanced degrees, went out to the mainland, got our advanced degrees, and have come back to serve and be with our families and raise our families here. Something you've always wanted and planned to do since growing up?
Ever since, yeah.
Right?
I mean, so Guam has always been home. And so when I was working for the Gutierrez administration, it was still the 1 years, right? I don't know how many people know. 98, exactly. 1998. I was the one that came up with Still the One. So if you hear that song and everybody breaks out and points at Carl Gutierrez, that was me. But
it's also the Clinton years.
I know,
right?
I know.
It's also the Clinton years.
Exactly. That was we got it from the movie Primary Colors. But those years were so formative. I learned so much from everybody that we worked with, from Governor Gutierrez, from Tyrone and Clifford, and just everybody that was part of that organization. And so as I was looking to what would happen next, right? The sort of the logical path was, why don't you run for senator? And one of the reasons that I didn't was because I didn't feel like I had enough experience and knowledge. And one of the things that sort of marked my life is I don't do things unless I know that I'm really ready, unless I'm prepared, unless I've studied and learned and I'm ready to actually take that challenge, right? Because I always live in fear of the Peter principle, which is you rise to the level of your incompetence, right? So I never want that to happen. So I felt it was more important to sort of see how I could learn more. Mm-hmm. And, because the Gutierrez administration was together with the Biden administration, I got that call from the White House, and I got out to got an interview and became a deputy assistant secretary at Housing and Urban Development under Andrew Cuomo, who, by the way, I gave him a lot of advice that I got from Carl Gutierrez when he was trying to run for governor. Don't know that he took it all, but I certainly gave it. But, all during that time, just trying to gain and learn and get more experience, right? I got my master's degree late in my life. I got it in 2008 in public policy.
After you had already been working.
After I was working. So I was named Deputy Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction.
That's right.
Part of the reason that I took that on was because when I was 11 in Liguan Terrace and Typhoon Pamela hit, and it was a life-changing experience. And after you live through something like that,
in Liguan Terrace,
you become an adrenaline junkie.
Yes.
And you're like, if I can live through that, and at one point, my dad locked us in the center closet because even though we had a cement house, it was shaking. And the water was just coming through the keyhole in the door.
The post of your house. You posted a picture of your
my
Liguan Terrace.
2-bedroom.
I remember those houses. My cousins lived there.
We didn't have glass. It was those louvers. We didn't have aircon either, right? So good thing there wasn't global warming back then because no aircon in the house, no aircon in the car, right? Mm-hmm. But those days, so that forms you. When you
certainly.
Can go through something like that. Remember the earthquakes back then?
Everything. I was here for
and then
all the big typhoons, all the
Vietnam
big earthquakes.
Planes, because I lived in Dededo, right? So those planes would go so over our house. It would just shake the whole house.
Well, even 76 when all the refugees came.
Yes.
And we were going by
in Assen. When they were all there.
That was scary.
It was.
It was quite scary to you.
It was.
It was a military refugee camp.
It was.
And all these thousands of people are looking at feeling really bad for them.
Right.
And wondering what's going to happen to
and
them.
all the things that happened to the island, right? And then historically, some of the things I wish people would remember is the military is not just like a one-way thing. Like, we're all talking about military buildup now. But we've got to be doing it so much smarter because don't forget, in 1988, we had BRAC.
Right.
Everything was closed.
That's
they
right.
shut down SRF, which was one of the greatest things that we had on the island. Remember Fleet Industrial Supply Center?
Generations of men and women
Talent.
who learned the trade.
Yes.
Now we have Mary Okada and Joe Cruz doing, training them
Exactly.
to continue to get involved and to earn from that very profitable industry.
Well, and Joe Cruz
that Guam is well suited.
Joe Cruz has got to get more people in, and so one of the groups I'm working with DoD is going to be bringing out the director of a workforce development program out of the Pentagon, because that type of work now, Joe and all the other folks that are working in that port area have to recreate the talent on Guam, because now the military is talking about, we're going to bring out 4 ships and we want them, retrofitted and done on Guam. And the sad part is a lot of the talent that we had that used to be able to do that was gone now. And so we have to, workforce development is one of the biggest things that I think, Jay, because, so often when we talk about doing things in Guam, we think about the buildings. We need more buildings for the school, or we need more infrastructure, or we need things. And my view is we've got to balance that, because if we don't build up the people on our island, if we don't
occupy the building.
Exactly. If we don't have, kids who understand cyber, we're just going to keep on bringing in people from the States. If we don't have kids who are architects and engineers and who can get involved in construction, we're just going to keep on going for H-2 labor, which, we have to at certain points, but we shouldn't have to. We should be able to build our people so that these jobs, especially the good paying jobs, are done by our people and our kids.
Same goes for healthcare. I mean, everybody talks about the hospital and how much are we paying all these traveling nurses. We have a school of nursing. We have GCC teaching nurses. And then, of course, thousands of H-2 workers from the Philippines that are there, or the traveling nurses from the United States who are costing 3 arms and 3 legs, as compared to nurses from Guam that we can hire right out of our own university.
Who had a 100% rate of passing at UOG.
I was like, I was very proud of that.
That was awesome.
A 100% pass rate for their board exams.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate exam. That's the ultimate proof that the university produces quality nurses. If they can pass their boards, 100% of them, that's pass rates are what accredits universities and their schools. And so they should be very proud of that.
But among the people who returned, too, I also want to give a shout out to people like PJ Uggan, who I met in the States when he was out there getting his advanced degree, and he could have gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars to go stay in New Jersey and work and do internal medicine over there. And instead, he got his family, his young family, and he moved back to Guam, and he's doing it here. So, there's wonderful stories.
To PJ, Dr.
people
PJ Uggan.
Coming in.
PJ Munya Uggan.
Our
classmate's daughter. Son, excuse me. Son.
Yeah.
A lot of young professionals, doctors, Dr. Jolene Uggan, medical director, top-notch doctor.
Exactly.
Very, very proud to have our Islanders come back. And we'll be back with you in just a minute.
KGUM-FM, Hagåtña, Guam. The sound of Guam is Wave 105 FM.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Wendy Gillette. The abortion pill mifepristone is at the center of a case the Supreme Court will hear Tuesday. CBS's Shauna Mizell.
This could have huge and wide-ranging implications across the United States, even in states where voters went to the polls and supported reproductive rights and enshrining the right to an abortion into their state's constitution, because that access to mifepristone would be threatened based on however these justices rule.
Federal agents have raided 2 homes owned by Sean Diddy Combs. Correspondent Carter Evans reports on the music producer's legal issues.
Last November, the 3-time Grammy winner was sued by his former girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, claiming he subjected her to violence and sexual abuse. Ventura reached a settlement with Combs, and he's denied wrongdoing. Combs has been accused of sexual assault in at least 4 other cases, including a lawsuit by his former producer, Rodney Jones. Jones claims that for more than a year, Combs sexually harassed, drugged, and threatened him while working on the project. Combs' attorney called the lawsuit pure fiction.
The United Nations Security Council approved a resolution demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. The U.S. abstained, angering Israel. National Security Council Coordinator John Kirby.
Because the final text does not have key language that we think is essential, such as condemning Hamas, we couldn't support it. Though, because it does fairly reflect our view that a ceasefire and the release of hostages come together, we abstained.
A judge blocked the Attorney General in Texas from demanding the LGBTQ plus group PFLAG turn over documents about families seeking gender-affirming care for their transgender kids.
PFLAG CEO Brian Bond has a message for the families of the trans kids in Texas.
We won't back down, and we will never stop fighting for you and your kids.
The nonprofit is also fighting the new Texas law that bans puberty blockers, hormone treatments, and gender-related surgeries for minors. Chris Fox, for CBS News, Austin.
An NYPD officer was shot and killed during a traffic stop in Queens. It's the first killing of a New York City officer in 2 years. Commissioner Edward Caban.
2 officers were conducting a vehicle stop. After approaching the car, the suspect inside the vehicle displayed a firearm and pointed it toward the officers. Shots were fired.
800 NYPD officers will be deployed to subways to watch for fare beaters amid heightened crime. Hours after the announcement, a man died after he was pushed onto subway tracks in East Harlem during rush hour in what police say was an unprovoked attack. A 45-year-old man was arrested. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Spring is in the air, but so are airborne allergens like tree pollen, grass, mold, and ragweed. If spring allergies keep you trapped inside, then you need Navage Nasal Care to keep you breathing clearly and enjoying all the beauties of spring. Navage helps clear nasal passages that are often clogged because of seasonal allergies. Navage gently flushes a pure, refreshing saline solution through your nasal passages to clear out congestion, sucking out that springtime pollen and other irritants trapped in your nose. Navage springs into action quickly, helping you breathe more clearly in just 30 seconds. And you don't need a never-ending cycle of decongestants that can leave you feeling drowsy. Navage is the fast and easy drug-free allergy solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Get Navage today so you can get outdoors and enjoy your favorite springtime activities. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, Navage. Breathe easy.
The man who gave life to a cartoon elephant king is gone. CBS News correspondent Deborah Rodriguez has more on his career.
What kind of a forest is this?
Babar's creator, French artist Laurent de Brunhoff, has died. He said he was inspired by his mother, who described the polite pachyderm escaping from a hunter and creating a new life in the city as a bedtime story. His father, a painter, illustrated the book, but died of tuberculosis when his son was only 12 years old. When de Brunhoff turned 20, he picked up where his dad had left off. Babar starred in several movies and at least 2 TV series. Laurent de Brunhoff was 98 years old and died at his home in Key West, Florida. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
It was a losing day for the markets on Wall Street after the best week of the year. The Dow fell 162 points, the S&P 500 dropped 15, and the NASDAQ slipped 44 points. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Nothing but the best. Wave
105 FM.
The Bright Side is brought to you by Vitali's Italian Restaurant, GTA. We start with you. Sherwin-Williams Paint. Aren't you tired of that black mold and mildew on your driveway, sidewalks, and exterior walls? Sherwin-Williams has the solution for you. It's called Wet and Forget. Environmentally friendly and will keep clean those pesky areas. Our hose and applicator allows for quick and easy treatment of large areas like driveways and patios. Exclusively available at Sherwin-Williams. 671-648-8050. Wet and Forget. We got you covered.
Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water.
Linus and half a day. Welcome back to the Wave 105.1 FM. I'm attorney Jay Arriola, hosting this afternoon for Paulie Suba. Thank you again to Glimpses of Guam, Inc., for having us here to host. With me today is Ginger Cruz, Democratic candidate in the primary election for United States Congress. Ginger, talking about the brain drain and returning to Guam and serving our island. What distinguishes you from your other two opponents in the Democratic primary, namely former Congressman Mike St. Nicholas and Senator Amanda Shelton, as the person who doesn't have a title in front of her?
Yep.
What distinguishes you from them?
Well, I think the first thing is I'm not a politician. I am a policymaker, and there is a big difference in that. I have spent my entire life working in some degree or fashion on policy, whether it was in the media, the private sector, or the government. And it gives me a different perspective on how to solve things. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at my experience and my background, I have nearly 40 years of experience, and I have worked in Guam, at Adelup, in the last 5 years was advising and working on the campaign for Lou and Josh, which gave me an opportunity to also really engage with all the agency directors and once again get completely immersed in the issues as we, prepared the campaign material and really sort of looked at those things. And so that understanding mixed with 12 years of experience working on the federal side at the highest levels. I mean, I was a deputy assistant secretary on a domestic issue, housing, and then I was a 2-star general equivalent at the Pentagon, serving, both the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, 8 committees of Congress, and served a third of my time in Iraq as a civilian with a vest and, a Glock sometimes, but a lot of the times not. I was shot at. I missed shrapnel by a few inches. I lived national security, mm-hmm. and nothing will reshape your desire to do something good with your life mm-hmm. than waking up every morning, pretty much back in 2008, when those incoming rockets at the Baghdad embassy were coming in, and we were living in trailers. It was just, a single trailer. You'd have half of it. Somebody else would have the other half of it. Was surrounded by sandbags. And in the morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:45, all of a sudden you'd be woken up by boom, this loud blast. And people were killed. I mean, these rockets were just sort of thrown across mm-hmm. at us. And there was nothing protecting us on the top. The reason they had the sandbags is to contain the blast from killing other people. And I lost one of my staff members, and I had to call the parents. And that was, a difficult experience. But the thing I will always remember is when I had told our auditor's parents that he had died, the degree of patriotism that they shared, because they knew that their son was serving as a civilian in defense of national security and fighting terrorism. And they took that. I mean, it was their son that had died, but they knew that it was for a cause that was important. That always moved me, and it was something I never forgot. So all of those experiences sort of shaped where I have gone in my career. And so for the last 12 years, I turned that into a very successful private firm, which does defense consulting. Mm-hmm. And we do that for companies around the world. And it brought me back to Guam. And that was the one thing I wanted to do, is get this experience and then have an ability to come back to Guam to contribute and help look at ways that we can solve things. So I think the one thing that's the most different from me and all the other candidates that are running for the office, I mean, literally at one point it was 5. Now I think we're back to 4 other candidates, is the fact that, the experiences that I have had allow me to clearly see all of the different paths that you can take to solve something, which has been a problem sitting around for decades. You can't solve it the same old way. And now, from the benefit of all of the places that I've been and all the things that I've learned, I look back at it and I'm like, okay, the reason that wasn't solved is because we didn't approach it the way that it needed to be done. There's ways to do this.
And so what is the Ginger's approach?
What is the secret
to
spice?
to a new congressional representative? Is it time for a change and a time for a new direction?
Well, so the first thing is it's a non-voting seat, right?
Sure.
Well, you don't get to vote. But there is one thing I know from having worked in Washington. Half an hour away from the Congress is every single federal agency that controls everything that happens on Guam. Why is the milk $7? Why is our gas so expensive? Why is our airfare outrageous? Why are we not able to do things? And you have to look at the federal policies that cause those things to happen. And how do we change those federal policies? And it's not a matter of being indignant, writing a letter, sending it to the president, oh, poor us, we need to change this. Nothing's ever going to happen because the president's going to hand it down to somebody and they're not going to take the time to research it or figure it out. But if you put on that congressional pin and you get the most expert staff that you can, you get the best, Jay, you need to come with me to D.C. because you got to get the best possible people together, right? And then you go into every one of those federal agencies and you find the person who's the expert on Guam, the person who's carrying that out. And you work with them to say, what is possible? Where do we need to put that 2-sentence amendment before you go back to the Hill and you find that committee of record and you have them work with you to put in the adjustments, the tweaks, the things that will actually make a huge difference on Guam. It's not about introducing a bill and doing a press release and telling everybody, oh, look at me, I'm trying to solve it. That's not how these things get solved. We're Guam. We've got to work tightly with our friends. Hawaii, Alaska, CNMI. CNMI's done amazing things. We've got to work together, and we've got to work smart by understanding the intricacies of the federal system to be able to get our solutions through the Congress.
The U.S. congressional representative, the delegate from Guam, is the highest federal official, I believe, on Guam. We've been very competently represented and professionally represented by Congressman Wampat, by Congressman Ben Blas, by Congressman Robert Underwood, and by Congresswoman Madeline Bradallo. After Madeline Bradallo's stint, the position kind of fell to a new kind of politician, a new breed of politician. Comes along with the Trump era of fake news and sound bites and not wanting to talk to certain press, including members of this press organization. Let's talk about the difference between you and them and what you see your role as when we come right back.
Looking at the time right now, it is currently 5:15 p.m. and that is your time check, brought to you by Wendy's Restaurant.
Wendy's Golden Fried Shrimp Sandwich is back in town. Shrimp fillet served crispy golden brown and topped with creamy dill tartar sauce, pickles, and fresh lettuce, all on a soft toasted bun. And try your new Golden Fried Shrimp Platter. Crispy golden brown shrimp fillet with fluffy rice and freshly chopped garden salad. Quick, simple, quality. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Viva Class of 2024, and welcome to the schools that have entered the original senior class tradition, the Power 98 Senior Lift Up Challenge. Vying for the prize and bragging rights this year for the large school category, the Ukadu Bulldogs, the GW Geckos, the Teton Titans, the JFK Islanders, and the Southern Dolphins. And for the small school category, the Academy Cougars, the ND Royals, and the Guahan Academy Starfish. Have fun and make those videos and memories. The 2024 Power 98 Senior Lift Up Challenge is presented by the Acania Shopping Center, Burger King, Wave 105.1 FM, Domino's Pizza, GTA, the Bank of Guam, Guam Community College, the Guam Army National Guard, and Power 98.
Get ready to dial into the future of banking and instant intelligent service with Bank of Guam. With Kara, our new digital assistant, you can bank how you move. No waits, no hassles. Just smart banking available 24/7. Give us a call today at 671-472-5300. Keep banking, keep moving, don't stop. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
If you guys are located at the village of Asan, starting at the M80 Systems Inc. corporate office, going all the way to the tri-section that is located in front of the governor's office, there is gonna be some congestion over there. So if you guys are going to that location, do please be advised on that one. That is today's traffic report brought to you by Guam Autospot. Schedule a test drive today at Guam Autospot by calling 478-AUTO or view our inventory at our website at guamautospot.com. Guam Autospot, 478-AUTO.
It's the March Markdown Sale at Guam Auto Spot. We're cutting prices on our used cars, and they're still in great condition. Cruise around in a brand new sleek Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for as low as $169 per paycheck, or take on any adventure in our rugged trucks. Get pre-approved online at GuamAutospot.com or schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO. Don't miss out. Visit Guam Auto Spot today.
You work all day. Nights are for relaxing. Tune in Monday through Thursday for Light Nights here on Wave 105 FM. Designed to help you chill and forget about the stresses of your day. The wave doesn't stop, but it sure can slow down. It's Light Nights, Monday through Thursday nights till midnight only here on the Sound of Guam. Wave 105 FM.
Start your day right with Mornings with Patty Arroyo every weekday morning from 6 to 10 a.m. Then meet me, Paulie Suba, in your afternoon on the bright side. Ride the wave with us on your radio at 105.1 FM or stream us 24/7 at thewave105.com. The Sound of Guam is Wave 105.1 FM.
Begin. We are Guam. Wave 105 FM.
Here we go. Explaining to Ginger here how I'm computer illiterate and people are probably laughing at me, touching my screen, going on and off, trying to watch at the same time, do this thing. Nice to have you back again, Ginger.
Thank
you. Talking about your run for congressional office. I was mentioning to you, voters of Guam have short-term memories. People forget, for instance, the AG election. People forget that 24 years ago, we had the same AG doing the same things he's doing today. And 2 years ago, he won by 39 votes.
Yeah.
Imagine that. People really forgot. And, 20 years is a lot of new voters. Granted.
True.
20 years is a lot of new voters. Likewise, our congressman, former congressman, Mike Nicholas, went out on a bang, namely an ethics investigation that ruled that if had it not been for him resigning to run for governor, they probably would have ousted him on an ethics complaint. And I don't believe the people of Guam have such short-term memories that we forgot all about that. And what do you have to say about all that?
Well, so people need to be judged for their histories. And there are many things that were done that at the time caused a lot of anger. For example, when the governor went out there to Washington, D.C. to meet with Representative Mike Nicholas, and she was left in the hallway of the Congress for 45 minutes, and he just refused to see her. It's things like that that say a lot about a person. Like you can come back and you can say, you know what, I want to run again. But if the voters already know what kind of a person that you are, not only did you have an ethics investigation, but you didn't work with the legislature of Guam. You didn't work with the administration. It is about Guam's issues, and you have to work whether you agree or not. you need the strength of a team if you're going to convince anybody in Washington to do what we need for our island. This is called public service. This is not called, I'm, the greatest thing since sliced cheese and I'll decide who I see. This is not what it's about. So,
but is that the type of is that the type of congressman we're getting used to seeing? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hello. How who does that at the State of the Union address?
It's unfortunate, and I'll tell you, there's one reason that I think, and again, this is the difference between me and literally everybody else running. I mean, there's good, decent people that are trying to do stuff. Maybe they don't quite have the experience yet to be able to do this, but the big difference between politicians and somebody who is a policy maker is politicians do things to get votes. They're not necessarily doing the job. There's a job in Washington, D.C. And this is what I wish the voters of Guam would understand. It is a job. If you want the price of your groceries to come down, if you want gasoline to be cheaper, if you want our island to not have our housing costs go through the roof because we're not working properly with the military to be able to figure out what these long-term solutions are, it's because there are policies in Washington that are not being handled by the Washington Delegate Office. That office needs to have a vision for what is going to happen for Guam, and then needs to be a powerful voice that, just like Madeline Bordallo, walks those halls and knows all 435 members. I have friends in the Congress right now. Kirsten Gillibrand, the senator from New York. We both worked for Andrew Cuomo. She's got a group called Off the Sidelines. They're helping me run now. God bless her. But I mean, having her on the Senate side, on the Armed Services Committee, it's those things that are going to make these things work. But when you have politicians who, they're spending government money. I mean, I think it's really interesting that the current congressman is all of a sudden running all these ads. Oh, if you want to come to Washington and you want like a free pass to see the White House, come and see me. And there's his face and there's this big, his name. And it looks like an ad. Paid for with official funds. Paid for with official funds. And you know what, Jay?
The former delegate, Congressman Nicholas, did the same thing.
I will
for with official
never,
funds.
And I will tell everybody on Guam right now, and everybody knows me from KUAM, and I was an ethics person with the government of the United States. I will never spend 1 penny of federal funds campaigning because it's just wrong. The job is a job. The person needs to not spend all their time coming back and forth campaigning, handing out water bottles or doing stupid videos. They need to be in Washington with excellent staff. Every day that the Congress is not in session, they need to be at a different federal agency, calling the people on Guam, finding out from the governor, from the legislature, what are the issues, how can we solve them, call the experts, talk to the veterans. What is the issue and how is it held up?
Speaking of experts and staffers, I think you mentioned earlier, it's all about the staff.
It is.
It is all about it. And if we've seen the staff currently and of former Congressman Nicholas, I think we see, I describe it as stucco. There's no other way to describe it. Yeah. They're very extremely youthful, extremely inexperienced, and not necessarily representative of a congressperson's office.
That's part number one. You're absolutely right. Part number two is the people of Guam need to understand how important this seat is for everything that happens to us. Mm-hmm. This is not a gift to be given to someone who, oh, we like you, you're a nice politician, you came to our family's party, so we're going to give you 2 years to take your friends and go sit in Washington and see the cherry blossoms. Because if that's the way that we treat that office, then we're going to continue to suffer on this island and decay because we cannot dig ourselves out of these problems that are being caused by federal policies until someone changes the policy.
And when it comes to the staffers assisting the congresspeople, you recall Congressman Bordallo, John Witt, Kin Perez,
exactly.
Congressman Underwood had a
Matt Herman, who I am talking to now. I mean, just
these are professional people from
people
on the Hill who know their way around,
yes,
and they're not wandering blindly.
Yes.
How do you anticipate recruiting staff and the like, assuming you were to get this type of position, to engage in your priorities?
There are a lot of folks that I've worked with on the Hill, that I've had the pleasure of working with on the Hill on the federal side, both on the Foreign Affairs Committee and on the National Defense Committees on the Senate and the House side. I'm already sort of putting out feelers. Obviously I have to win these elections first.
Yep.
But at the same time, I am a person who would be starting before day one to make sure that the best of Guam, people who understand our regional issues, the best of the talent here on Guam. I was half joking about you, but I mean, we really need people that are passionate, that are well-spoken, that understand these issues, that are creative, that aren't going to just do the same darn thing for 2 years and then tell the people of Guam, oh, I tried, but it's the federal government. What can I do? You can't do that anymore. You've got to actually figure it out. Look what Carl Gutierrez did with, I tell people this, the North American Numbering Plan. Do you remember that back in the day where we all had to spend, $5 a minute? You couldn't even, my mom couldn't call me in college because it was too expensive. So she's always like, oh, she'd have a 1-minute conversation and she'd hang up the phone. The bill's too expensive, right? And what did he do? He got all of the best people on Guam. He hired lawyers from the States, got in there with the FCC, got into the details of it, managed to convince, and it took a lot of work, convince the FCC that everybody in the United States was going to pay 0.0001 cent more, and Guam got on the North American Numbering Plan. And since that time, we haven't really done that. We haven't had
things like that.
In the last, 10 years, we haven't had people in there, or a couple of years, whatever it is, 2, 4, 6 years. We haven't had anybody able to do that.
Let's take a call. Somebody's been holding for a little while. We'll take a call on the line. Hi, Hafaday, are you there?
Hafaday, can you hear me?
Hey, Hafaday. 105.1 The Wave.
Yes, I am really, really enjoying this interview. Ginger, kudos to you. This is Pete Santos.
Buenas, Pete. Malika.
Oh, todo maulik. Viva Mets tomorrow.
Viva Mets tomorrow.
But, I'm listening to everything, and it's really resonating with me. It's not about being given the spot, and also you have to earn it. The other flip side of the coin of that is that leaders are not born, they're made. And listening to your experience and what you've accomplished, I see all the makings of a great leader. Just the fact that you work with the likes of Carl Gutierrez, worked in the Clinton administration, went down into combat zones. Those are the things that make leaders. I know that you probably have seen some really great examples in DOD and in the military, and seen some not so great examples, people and leaders. And you've probably taken all the good stuff, put it in your pocket, and all the bad stuff, just toss it away. So, really, really like your history, your background, but also I get this sense that you're a very deep intellectual, and I remember you from your media days, from your Carl Gutierrez administration days, and I'm just super, super glad that you're here back on island. We need someone like you with your passion, your intellect, and your commitment to this island. I mean, I look at you and I see, the epitome of what an island girl is.
Thank you, PJ. That's Attorney PJ Santos. He's a public defender. He's also a veteran who returned to Guam and came back, got his law degree, and came back and is serving on our island as a government attorney. Ginger, what do you have to say to Peter?
Well, I mean, Peter is a person who I think says exactly what I'm thinking. He is advocating for issues constantly, whether he has the standing to advocate or not, whether he's elected or not. He is somebody who every time he sees something that needs to be advocated for, he is always out there and he is always making his opinion known. And I've always appreciated that and respected that. And I'm very humbled by what you said. So thank you for that.
Well, I hope the people, pay attention and make the right choice. We have, a slate of candidates on both sides, and everyone has their reasons for voting, but I think it's very compelling, like you said, that if we want our problem solved, we need to make a wise choice and choose who is the best fit for the job, not just because of family affiliations or because of financial backings or because of, a clan-like, loyalty. So it doesn't matter. All those things don't matter. What matters is who's got the best goods, and everyone, I believe that's running have good intentions, but not everyone has the skills and the wherewithal to accomplish and work smarter and not harder. And I see all of that in you. I see, that you have learned some really good lessons, and you want to take that now, and I appreciate that.
Thanks, PJ. We're about to take another break for our station. Thanks for the call. PJ is one of those who's always there providing the other side of the story, which is why, as I said in the beginning of this program, it's important to get both sides out there. This whole business of anonymous posts, how many times you have to read the posts, the anonymous people posting on Facebook and on postguam.com or KUAM.com, whatever websites, getting a little sick of it. Put your name out there if you're going to make these comments and bash candidates and the like. Otherwise, quit hiding behind these fake posts, because we all know who you probably are. Just based on what they say. I find it refreshing as well to have Pete constantly keeping politicians in check and telling the other side of the story. But we'll be back shortly after we hear from our sponsors.
Hafide, this is Melvin Wampat Borja. I'm the Executive Director from the Commission on Decolonization, and I'd like to invite you to join us every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to noon for Challenge the Status Quo, where we will explore conversations around decolonization, political self-determination, and Guam's political status on Wave 105.1 FM.
No plans for dinner tonight? Then take the family to Vitali's Italian Restaurant. Enjoy the linguine clam, the tour of Italy, or the King's Up sandwich at Vitali's Italian Restaurant. Open daily for lunch and dinner. For reservations, call 671-646-7692 and enjoy a taste of Italy. You clocked out, and now it's time to decompress and de-stress with the smoothest and most relaxing jams of the 2000s with Light Nights, only here on Wave 105. We are taking it back, but in a whole different direction.
KFC's Lent menu is filled with so many seafood options, it's enough to keep you going for the entire Lenten season. They're all here. Popcorn shrimp, fish wraps, fish fillets, shrimp and crab Killigan wraps, and our famous KFC shrimp burger. And now you can mix and match chicken and fish in both 6 and 12-piece family meals with sides and biscuits. KFC's Lent menu is available for a limited time at all KFC restaurants and for delivery at kfcguam.com or WhatsApp 300-3278. KFC, it's finger-licking good for Lent.
You work all day. Nights are for relaxing. Tune in Monday through Thursday for Light Nights here on Wave 105 FM. Designed to help you chill and forget about the stresses of your day. The wave doesn't stop, but it sure can slow down. It's Light Nights, Monday through Thursday nights till midnight only here on the Sound of Guam. Wave 105 FM.
If you guys are going downhill from Route 16 connected Route 10A, the road that is connected to the airport area from the village of Barrigada, going downhill, there is going to be some congestion over there because of the construction. One of the lanes is being under construction as of right now, and that is today's traffic report brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule a test drive today at Guam Auto Spot by calling 478-AUTO or view our inventory on our website at guamautospot.com. Guam Auto Spot, 478-AUTO.
Get ready, Guam. It's the March Markdown Sale at Guam Auto Spot. We're cutting prices on our used cars, and they're still in great condition. Cruise around in a brand new sleek Mitsubishi Outlander Sport for as low as $169 per paycheck, or take on any adventure in our rugged trucks. Get pre-approved online at GuamAutospot.com or schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO. Don't miss out. Visit Guam Auto Spot today.
Viva Mas Tomorrow! Keep it locked right here for a celebration of Tomorrow Month with your Tomorrow Jams. Tomorrow music right here on the radio. Your Tomorrow Jams are presented by Wave 105 FM, Power 98, and Jay Goodman. Check them out at the Aganya Shopping Center, beautiful Haga, and in Lower Barrigada Heights.
Feeling good, getting things done. Wave 105 FM.
Right on. Join us in half a day. We're on 105.1 FM, The Wave. I'm attorney Jay Arriola, guest hosting for Paulie Suba. With me today is Ginger Cruz, candidate for the United States Congress, Democratic Party line. Primary election will be in August 2024. The last day to submit the petitions would be May 4th, 2024. I believe the last day to register to vote is in July 18th, 2024. Go to guamelectioncommission.gov, gec.guam.gov for more information on this year's election season and the deadlines. We have a call coming in, so before we discuss further with Ginger, let's take a call on the line. Half a day, buenas.
Buenas. Victor Duenas from the beautiful village of Inalahan.
Buenas, senor. Viva Inalahan, viva Mr. Moro.
Viva Inalahan and viva Ginger Cruz.
Viva Ginger Cruz.
That I will vote Ginger Cruz because she is still the one. The other thing that I'm going to say, I respect everybody that are running, but the best, the most experienced to send her to Congress is Ginger Cruz. She got all the knowledge, the experience. And let me tell you about Ginger's personality. She came down here to Inalahan. I invited her to my house. And this woman stayed all the way until she talked to every single visitor here at my house. That's how I like this person. It's like Governor Terry style. She'll talk and not leave, and she will tell you, oh, some candidates, they're in a hurry. All they want is to shake your hand and to ask for your vote. But Ginger's not that style. That's why I'll be the first one to say it, like I said, that I will support her 100%, and this vote do not lie when I get into the booth. I am an honest person when I say those things. Thank you. I'll name her already, Congresswoman Ginger Cruz, because you're still the one. And thank you very much for coming over here. And boy, people really enjoying you. And let me tell you, you got good news of what this visitor are telling me, that they will support you. They will support you. And yes, I said support her and get more votes for Ginger. Let her put her back. Let her put her into Congress because she's going to bring good things to Guam.
Thank you very much,
Ginger. We'll be praying for you.
Thank you.
And let me tell you, Ginger, you're still the best and you're still the one. Adios.
Thank you, senor. Adios. Ginger, how have your
Victor.
visits? How have your? I've seen you going to all the fiestas and doing the island tours.
I am just
How's it
starting.
going?
I am just starting. But I'll tell you, the most amazing thing for me is, when I went down to see Victor Duenas, and he brought a lot of people there, is listening to people. Because when you listen, when you hear these issues and it hits you, it fuels in me a passion, an anger, a desire to just take up the biggest spear that I can possibly take and go over there to the halls of Congress and to fight for the people of Guam, because that's what drives you. When people say, what clan are you from or what group are you from? I am from the clan of Guam. I fight for every single person that I meet and that I know needs representation in Washington, that is full-throated, that doesn't waver. When you've got all of these powerful people in Washington, D.C., that have all these powerful committees, we need to make sure that Guam's voice is clear, is informed, and is able to navigate through all of that to bring it home for the people of Guam. Because I'll tell you, Victor Duenas, his home, by the way, is just gorgeous. They say it's God's country in the South, and you can tell why. It is just beautiful down there. And it is protecting that It is protecting the people of Guam, and it is resolving problems that make everyone's life difficult for no good reason. It's not like the United States is trying to make Guam's life difficult. It's just that years and years of policies have caused problems. They've broken one after the other. It's kind of like a Frankenstein. And it's going to take somebody to get in there and fix each piece so that the people of Guam are not burdened by these issues, which happen to be there, but instead is lifted by our relationship with the United States government. Instead of the things that go on behind the fence, the military is not trying to destroy our housing prices. They don't want that to happen. It's not good for them. It's not good for us. But if we don't have a vision, if we don't have the leadership in Washington that is able to drive those conversations and get the kind of policy shifts so that we create more opportunity for everybody, nobody's going to succeed and nobody's going to do well. But Victor's amazing.
I think we have another caller on the line. We'll take another call. Buenos and half a day. Welcome to 105.1 FM, The Wave.
Buenos and half a day. I just want to ask Ginger a question regarding, I think I would vote for Ginger, but I wanted to ask, how will she ensure the people that are voting for her, that the people that are working for her, are not going to defer or deter from her goals? I mean, a candidate is only as good as their team. And, you know, the candidate is up there, but the people that are supporting them may have totally different values. So I'm just wondering how Ginger would deal with that.
Thank you for that question, and it dovetails into our discussion earlier about the current congressman and the former congressman and the difference in their staffs compared to the senior Congresswoman Madeline Bordallo, Congressman Underwood, Congressman Ben Blas. Quite a difference. I refer to them as the stucco over at the halls of Congress. Ginger, how do you plan to staff?
Well, the first thing is leadership, right? So you want to pick a team that, you know, that you trust has the same passion and the same work ethic. Anybody that is going to be going to Washington to work for Guam or work in the local office for Guam has to understand this is not a 9-to-5 job. This is public service. You have to be available. You never turn down a constituent. I mean, it's one thing I learned from Carl Gutierrez, and that never left me. And he always said, it doesn't matter how small an issue may sound from someone who calls you, you know that that is the person's biggest issue, and you treat it with the respect of it being their biggest issue. I never forgot that. And, you know, one of the things that has to happen is you need a staff that has the same passion, that is going to be willing to work all hours to make sure that we are all doing something that at the end of the day, you work those hours not because you're getting paid overtime for it. You work it because you accomplish the goal. And that feeling that you're going to get when we're actually able to accomplish things for the people of Guam, that's who I'm looking for. I'm already sort of, you know, reaching out. There's a lot of people volunteering on the staff. You know, the best and brightest on Guam, that's what we want to go after. The people who understand the issues and who care about the people of Guam and who can help to create those solutions. Those are going to come along with us to Washington, D.C. if I am lucky enough to get elected to that position. And then we're going to have to add to that a couple of experts from Washington, D.C., because that's what's going to help give us the key to navigate through D.C. We don't know everything ourselves, and we need to understand where to reach out, what to add, and how do we create that cohesive team that is responsive to everyone, but that also puts the issues of Guam first.
But of course, the buck stops there at that position, the congressperson's position, the congresswoman's position.
Exactly.
And if that person alone is unethical, is hiding money in the ceiling, or is having an affair with a staffer, that doesn't look too good. So I see the distinction, at least in the caller's mind and the previous caller, that you bring a different perspective, a fresh perspective. Even in your campaign style, because we've had issues where the other candidate would not even make themselves available for media. We'll take a break right now and entertain some more calls when we get back. Thanks.
Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience or delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com is powered by Good to Go, We Deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
The charm and history of Italian food is expressed at Vitali's Italian Restaurant with signature dishes, the tour of Italy, spaghetti carbonara, linguine clam, and delightful pizza with red and white wines to pair nicely with your appetizer of choice. So dine in and enjoy the taste of Italy at Vitali's Italian Restaurant. Open Monday to Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 a.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Vitali's Italian Restaurant located in the heart of Tumon.
Chili's has the seafood you crave and the flavors you'll love this Lenten season. Enjoy dishes like their ancho salmon, shrimp fajita, or black bean burgers. So many options to choose from, you might just have to come back to try them all. Only at Chili's, great food and value happen here.
Here for the community. Wave 105 FM.
Thank you and welcome back. It's 5:47 p.m. on 105.1 FM, The Wave, here in, where are we at? Barrigada, Guam? The home of The Wave, 105.1 with Ginger Cruz, discussing her candidacy. Ginger, let's talk about your campaign and how it's looking, and what are you looking forward to? Share with our people.
Well, I'll tell you, it's really the part that I had always been involved in the campaigns that I was involved in was always on the comms side, the communication side. So the grassroots part, honestly, is the most fun. Getting out to as many places I can possibly go to listen to people and to share my thoughts. That is really wonderful. And the only way to really do that is to have a place where people know where we're going to be, or have an ability to tell us, hey, come because we're going to have an event and we want you to join us. So for right now, we've started using Facebook. And I know people are wondering, why are you not on Facebook, right? So here's something to think about, right? If you want to know who I am, go to LinkedIn. So I've used LinkedIn for years because it's a professional site. It has my whole background. It has all 7,500 people that I'm connected to. You can when I say I've got connections in Washington, you can actually go through the link and see who they are, right? But that is really where I sit. And if you kind of look at that and compare me to the other candidates, not necessarily where they are. Facebook is something brand new. So when I was working at the Department of Defense, we weren't really supposed to have a Facebook because you don't want people in Iraq knowing, you're not posting selfies. Hey, I'm sitting here at this cafe in Baghdad. Come and shoot me now. So we really didn't have social media. So about 3 weeks ago, we started Facebook. And as of today, we have 3,500 followers. And I am so overwhelmed to have that many people. But really, I want people to come on. Doesn't matter if you're voting for me or not voting for me. Anybody on Guam who wants to know what we're about, who wants to hear my voice, see what my opinions are, tell me what their opinions are, and I will answer. I get up at 4 a.m. I stay up really late. I answer all the messages that come in. But we need those channels.
On Facebook, what's your Facebook page?
So there's Ginger Cruz for Congress, and there's also Ginger Cruz, which is my personal one. Okay. So we've got those on Facebook. And we're going to have a website, gingercruz.com. And we're going to put out a platform. It should be up in the next couple of days. But it's two ways. I really also want to hear from people. Mm-hmm. If you have an opinion, if you have a position, if you have a criticism, or if you're supporting, there's going to be ways, buttons you can get in there to send us stuff. And I do read it because it's valuable. It's a conversation, and we need to have a conversation because it's a serious office, and it's about everybody on the island, not just the people running.
I think we have a call coming in. Let's take that call. Caller, you're on the line. Hafaday, buenas.
Hafaday, this is Noah Austin. And I'd like to ask Ms. Ginger, do you support Chamorro people's our human right to self-determination? And if so, what would you do if elected to get to that?
Thank you so much, sir, for that question. We were talking about that earlier when we were preparing for this off the air. And so I'm glad you raised that question. And Ginger, self-determination.
100%. Since the days when I was working at Adelup, that has been an issue that is holding Guam back. We have to have a vote on self-determination. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to move forward with political status. And one of the things that is holding Guam back right now, today, is the fact that we've not resolved political status. I personally, so when I left Guam to go work in the mainland, when I came back and I saw that, the different aspects were changed and that it's kind of gone back to an educational campaign and it's sort of not really moving, I was actually disappointed because we can't wait any longer. We can't continue to sort of drag it out. I know there was that court case where, a Karen decided to complain and try to stop the whole thing, and that's only going to get worse. And let me tell you right now, we are part of the United States, for better or worse, where we are right now. And the U.S. Congress is continuing to pass legislation, and those courts that the conservatives have put together are overturning all sorts of decisions that are putting Guam in a worse and worse position. The time to decide our political status and to put forward the indigenous rights of the indigenous people of Guam is now, because that actually is the key. As important as political status is indigenous rights, because the overturning of affirmative action means that if we say Guam is a minority and we need minority rights, in the States today, there's a whole group of white organizations that are saying you can't have minority rights on anything
and
anymore.
they're succeeding.
They're taking it
succeeding
away.
in the Supreme Court.
And they're going to take away those rights for Guam. They're going to take away the funding for Guam, all the cultural programs that we have.
Based on our color.
Because we can't be a minority.
Right.
So they're taking all of that away. The only way to overcome that is to advance our rights as an indigenous people. And so right now, actually this week, I was on the phone with the folks in Hawaii because they've actually managed to push their issues forward to get more and more status under indigenous people's rights. And we on Guam need to work side by side. We need to work with everybody that will support us, and we need to be able to get indigenous status for Guam if we are going to continue to have this wonderful renaissance of Guam culture that we're seeing today. But there are people in the States that would turn that around on us, and we can't let that happen.
And can I also ask a quick follow-up? You talk about the conservatives, right? The judges.
Yes.
But it seems to me that kind of implies that, like, the more liberal-leaning politicians and whatnot would be allies of ours, if you will. But it seems to me that given what is like 120 plus years of being a possession of the U.S., the ball hasn't moved. So I would think that if any of these, stateside politicians or people in the government cared at all, then we wouldn't be here still today.
Sure. But as Ginger and I were talking earlier, all across America, there's the shift from minority rights as a race to indigenous rights.
Yes.
Whether it's Native American, whether it's Hawaiian, whether it's Puerto Rican, Virgin Islands, American Samoan, or the native Chamorros of the Northern Marianas or Guam. And so as we come to a close on this show, we'd like to get some comments, Ginger, on how you view indigenous rights.
So indigenous rights are essential. It is the fiber of our being. It is who we are as an island. Guam is not just another part of the United States. It is completely unique. And the fact that we've never had that ability, right, just because the people of Guam were peaceful and part of the Pacific and, we're occupied by so many different foreign governments, it's that ability to be able to have a say in your own future. And I think if everybody just trusts that the right decision is going to be made, and that, the veterans here and the love and the appreciation for all the things that we have and how intertwined our history has been with the United States, I think that's not going to go away, and people need to not fear that. But we need to move
intertwined
forward.
like that. What does that mean? Is that like the military poisoning Guam? I'm saying that's.
Well, I mean, the fact that our economy is where it is today, the fact that we have so many veterans on the island who served, the fact that we have people that remember. I mean, Carl Gutierrez was on the radio this morning, and he was talking about how the liberation really affected him. And my my former in-laws always talked about how that affected them. And, there's the reality. If we are looking at the reality of Guam in a future that we want for our children and grandchildren, we need to balance not only the strength of protecting and enhancing indigenous rights, but we also need to understand that we also have a duty to protect and enhance their livelihoods, their quality of life, their ability to get a great education and have careers and have families and do the things that they love to do. And, that is the duality of Guam. There's so many different, almost conflicting things that have to work together in order for Guam to succeed. And it is appreciating all of them and making sure that there's balance and making sure that as we move forward, we respect that balance. And you never give up the indigenous rights because we want only to have a relationship with the United States. And by the same token, you don't say, oh, well, we can do without the United States because our indigenous rights are the only thing that matter. It's about balance. And the thing that I've learned growing up and spending my whole life on Guam, with the exception of when I, was working outside of Guam, is that you put all that together and it makes sense to us. We refer to it as the mainland. We refer to the states as the states, right? Because we're from Guam. But at the same time, we sing the national anthem and the Guam hymn, and now we have the Inafresi, which I think is beautiful. So it's that ability that we have on Guam, which we need to continue to blend all of these things together so that as people, we have so many facets. We're not just one group of people. There's so many facets, and we have to make sure that we develop and we respect all of those facets so that the next generation at the very end of the day has the best quality of life, is able to be proud of their culture, is able to have the best opportunities, is able to have the best education for their kids, and is able to basically have the financial ability to live in an island that is clean, that has health care, that has good schools, and that has economic opportunity. And all of that needs to be done in a balanced fashion without ever letting one go for the other.
Do we have time for another caller, I think?
It's like we have like 1 minute until the top of the hour.
Okay, so that's not enough time for another caller. We have one more minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had the opportunity to host Ginger Cruz, who is a candidate for the United States Congress. The election will be in August 2024. The deadline to register to vote is July 2024, I believe July 18th. Get out there and register to vote. Go to the Guam Election Commission website to find out more information on this year's election. If you don't vote, you don't count. Snooze, you lose. Don't have short-term memories. Be informed. Exercise your right to vote, people. Ginger Cruz, nice talking to you. Let's talk about one last shout out to the people out there. What to look forward to in your campaign?
A lot more information, a lot more engagement. I hope, if anybody out there wants to get some folks together and wants me to come out to their house and talk to them and tell me their issues, I'm happy to do it. Reach out on Facebook. Once we get the website up, reach out on the website. But we want to get the energy and the excitement up, and I want to be challenged. I want to hear the questions. And if you think I've got the answer wrong, I want you to tell me, because that's going to help inform better and better decisions for the people of Guam. But Jay, I have to tell you, you're an inspiration. You've always been somebody I looked up to from my days at St. Anthony, and to see all of the great things that you're doing, and it's amazing, and we need more of you.
This has been a lot of fun. We want to thank again Glimpses and the new radio station hitting Guam's airways, 105.1, The Wave, for this informational Mes Chamorro, other side of the story, talk legal, talk politics with Jay Arriola. Giving another side and another version of the story. I'll be back next week, 4 to 6, probably with another candidate or some other special guest. Tune in then. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for enjoying us. Viva Mes Chamorro.
Viva.